Subtraction of fractions with unlike denominators is similar to addition of fractions with unlike denominators. Be sure that your tray is reset, and as I work a problem on the computer, you follow along with me using your tray. Mitch raked 1/2 his yard and his sister Julia raked 1/3 of the yard. How much more of the yard did Mitch rake than Julia? Just like adding fractions, both fractions have to be in the same unit or denominator. When I first looked at the fractions, I noticed that the denominators were different. I knew that I had to have a common denominator for a number that could be divided by each of the denominators before I could compare them, so I simply made a 2x3 rectangle. I divided the rectangle into 2 equal parts to find out how many sixths were equal to 1/2. Next, I divided the rectangle into 3 equal parts to find out how many sixths were equal to 1/3. Since the fractions are now written with a common denominator, or unit, we can subtract the smaller numerator from the larger one. As we can see, 3/6 minus 2/6 equals 1/6. 3/6 minus 2/6 equals 1/6 is the same as 1/2 minus 1/3 equals 1/6. Mitch raked 1/6 more of the yard than his sister Julia. Let's work another problem. This time I'll start it and you can finish it. Remember to reset your tray. Jackie walks 2/3 of a mile to school and Pam walks 1/4 of a mile to school. How much farther does Jackie walk to school? When I look at the fractions, I notice that the denominators are different. I know that I have to have a common denominator, or a number that can be divided by each of the denominators, before I can subtract them. I simply make a 3x4 rectangle. Your teacher will now pause the movie while you finish the problem. When he or she is ready to continue, they'll restart the movie. Here's how I finished the problem. I divided the rectangle into 3 equal parts to find out how many 12ths were equal to 2/3. Next, I divided the rectangle into 4 equal parts to find out how many 12ths were equal to 1/4. Since the fractions are now written with a common denominator, or unit, we can subtract their numerators. As we can see, 8/12ths minus 3/12ths equals 5/12ths. 8/12ths minus 3/12ths equals 5/12ths is the same as 2/3 minus 1/4 equals 5/12ths. Jackie walked 5/12ths of a mile more to school than Pam. Let's work another problem. This time I want you to work the problem. Mark ate 1/2 of a pie and Carlos ate 2/5 of the pie. How much more pie did Mark eat than Carlos? Your teacher will now pause the movie while you finish the problem. When he or she is ready to continue, they'll restart the movie. Here's how I worked the problem. I first made a 2x5 rectangle. Then I divided the rectangle into 2 equal parts to find out how many tenths were equal to 1/2. Next, I divided the rectangle into fifths to find out how many tenths were in 2/5. Since the fractions are now written with a common denominator or unit, we can subtract their numerators. As we can see, 5/10 minus 4/10 equals 1/10. 5/10 minus 4/10 equals 1/10 is the same as 1/2 minus 2/5 equals 1/10. Mark ate 1/10 of the pie more than Carlos.